Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silvermont, and in this video we're going to have a look at gambling in video games. Is it a problem? I would argue that yes, it is, but of course, I invite you to share your own opinions and views on the matter down in the comments below. To kick things off, what exactly am I talking about when I say gambling in video games? In this sense, I'm using the definition of gambling to mean taking a risky action in the hopes of a desired result, and we'll be using Overwatch as a proxy. Blizzard just released a new skin for your favourite character that you really want, so you'll have to open as many loot boxes as you can until you get it, with no guarantee that you will get it. Or perhaps we're talking about a gacha game on mobile. A new 5-star character just came out, but the pull rate is 1%. For a 5-star character, not specifically for the character you want, just any 5-star character. Is this gambling? In a way, I would say yes. Of course, one large difference between gambling on a loot box in Overwatch and gambling in a casino, for example, is that you will always get something from the loot boxes. You might not get what you want, but you will receive some sort of prize, even if it's a duplicate. So what's the problem here? If you get a prize every time, how is that a problem? Why do I think it's a problem? That would be because gambling, simply put, can destroy lives. It is a behaviour that nobody should get into, because it preys on human nature in such a way as to take advantage of us. I'm no expert on the matter, but there are observable traits in many humans that can be taken advantage of. That new video game is $49.99, because that sounds better than saying 50. Your eyes will naturally be drawn to the big, bold, red font first. Yes, there are exceptions to these, of course, but many businesses are obviously designed in ways to take advantage of these traits and aspects. But gambling, it is a very serious issue, and it does destroy lives. Of course, buying a bunch of loot boxes in Overwatch isn't the same thing as going broke in the casinos, but gambling is illegal in many parts of the world, and what's more worrying to me is that Overwatch's style of gambling loot boxes are introducing kids to gambling at an extremely young age. Hey mum, there's a sick new Hanzo skin out, and being a hardcore 12-year-old, I need to have it. Who cares if your credit cards get maxed, lol? Exaggerating, yes. But has it happened? Most likely. I know people who have been buying loot boxes when they really shouldn't be spending money on that, when there are far more important things they need to be buying or saving their money for. Publishers and game designers, they are intentionally taking advantage of people in a way that can be quite harmful in the long run. And why? All to make some extra money in the most deceitful way possible? If this new Hanzo skin came out and you could straight up buy it for a few dollars, that wouldn't make them nearly as much money. Of course, there will be someone who's going to get it in their first loot box, but the chances are a majority of people are going to spend much more on the loot boxes until they do get this item. And to briefly point out, this is paying for cosmetic items in a full price game with no story mode to begin with. I know, you can feasibly get many of these things just by playing the game and leveling up or playing arcade to get loot boxes and so forth. Just have some control, don't spend money. You don't need to tell me that. I, hardly ever spend money on things like this, but people do. You just need to look at the amount of money that Blizzard have made from loot boxes in the past year or two. And I feel like only problems can stem from introducing kids to this form of gambling at such an early age. Even if it is very casualized, low-risk gambling, you'll always get some kind of prize, sure, but you can say it's like a fairground claw machine or something. The chances of winning are low. The fun is in the challenge. Yet even then, you don't go to the fairground every day. People are playing Overwatch every day, so I can't compare them directly. Normalizing this behaviour does not seem healthy to me, and from the perspective of someone who plays video games, I just can't understand how anyone can defend the model of, well, I'd rather have to open a million boxes in the hopes of getting what I want instead of just buying it straight up. You know, in Titanfall 2, when they release new skins and cosmetic items, you can just buy them. You don't have to open a Titan box in the hopes that you will get the item. Purely from a gameplay perspective, loot boxes can appeal to us on a basic level wherein we like some degree of randomness. Go back to Diablo 2. It's like slaying the dragon or opening the treasure chest and looking forwards to what goodies we're gonna get inside. So I can see there is something to be said for loot boxes in that sense, but I'm sure there is a more elegant solution to this. As a matter of fact, you can look at another Blizzard game for that very thing, Heroes of the Storm. For starters, Heroes of the Storm is free to play, not a full price release. It has loot boxes, you can buy the loot boxes, although it's way more generous with them than Overwatch is, but you can also straight up buy the things you want, instead of a reliance on chance and RNG. And yes, I know in Overwatch you can get coins that you can then use to buy things that you want. And no, I'm not using this just to shit on Blizzard and Overwatch. It's more the mindset behind it, which appears to be in many games these days. The model of full price game, which also has gambling elements tucked away. Just look at PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, directly suffers hugely from having loot boxes. Why? Because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of bots. That is to say, people who are just botting the game, leaving themselves AFK or running in a straight line so that they can build up PlayerUnknown points or whatever they're called and get loot crates and then open the loot crates and sell them on Steam and so forth. Do you really want your online game to have a huge population of bots because of that? No, we didn't like them in World of Warcraft and we shouldn't like them now. I don't think that's fair to us as a consumer, nor is it ethical. Ethics are the bane of profits, I suppose, but I strongly feel this is an area in need of regulation. I've heard that some Asian countries are now required to flat out tell you the rates of drops in loot boxes and gacha systems. And that might be a start. And I'm not sure what the ideal solution is, I just know that Blizzard and other game publishers who are selling these things to kids have a responsibility here. Am I saying that gambling on loot boxes in Overwatch is going to lead a kid to start gambling in Vegas later in life? Probably not, but it is still encouraging unhealthy behaviour. The mindset of, I'll buy 10 loot boxes in the hopes I get that skin. I didn't get it. Okay, just one more. And one more. And one more. It is about self-control, but whilst it's very easy to say have more self-control, evidently a lot of people do not. Otherwise, gambling wouldn't be such a widespread problem. That's what it comes down to in the end for me. Is it really worth it? Are profits so important that you have to not only sell us things like maps and skins that should by all accounts be free, but that you have to bring kids into the sort of environment and take advantage of them where they're not allowed to just buy the thing they want, they have to gamble in the hopes of getting it? Maybe this sounds to you like the rantings of people back in the 90s saying, Doom and GTA are making our kids into mass murderers. By no means am I exclaiming such a dramatic comparison, because shooting hookers in GTA doesn't have any direct consequences. You don't have to spend real money to do that. Gambling though actually does, because you are spending real money on the chance to acquire a virtual item. To me, although you can compare them in some ways, in their cause and effect sort of symbiosis, they are not really comparable in a realistic sense. I think the best solution would just be to offer alternatives and transparency on pool rates. But what do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? Do you enjoy loot boxes? Do you hate them? Do you have better alternatives in mind? Let me know what you think in the comments, because whatever side you might take, I do think this is an important topic. It's a new problem that has only just emerged very recently. How do we handle it? Thank you so much for watching though, and I will catch you next time. Or I'll catch you right now, because I wrote this script a few weeks ago, and just a few hours ago, the ESRB came out with a statement on loot boxes. Whilst there's an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive in-game content, even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. An ESRB rep told the site. We think of it as a similar principle to collectible card games. Sometimes you will open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eye on for a while, but other times you will end up with a pack of cards you already have. Now, I suppose they have a very good point there. When I was a kid, I was into card games like that. They were a big thing in the 90s, but I never witnessed me or any of my friends spending far too much money on them simply by chance. But in the last year alone, I've witnessed that several times with loot boxes, whether it's people I know or strangers on the internet, kids spending loads of money on loot boxes. There's also another fundamental difference here in that cards, if you buy a booster pack for Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering or whatever you're into, you don't have to spend £40 on the privilege to buy cards in the first place. So it's less like buying a pack of booster cards and more like them saying, do you want to come into our shop and buy a packet of booster cards? Okay, first off give us £40 and we'll let you in. Still, they had some decent points, but I think they are outdated in that sense, and it really does need a new looking at, because it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a new problem and we need to find an elegant solution to deal with it, and, well, really, to stop publishers from just exploiting the consumers as they are right now. Alright, this time, goodbye for real.